Well, hello again, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Michelle, we have not done a bonus episode in quite a long time, but we decided we'd do a little something different today, right?
Right. We have something exciting to talk about. And yeah, it has been a long time. I guess we're slackers.
We're slackers. And this is going to throw everybody off because, when they read ours, we're saying, okay, this is episode 406 or whatever. And they're going to look and say, but it says 417. What is going on? Well, we're about to throw that off even farther here with this. But we decided we needed to do this because we recently had an experience out at Walt Disney World that we really wanted to give a good review. And our regular episodes have been a bit longer recently, so we didn't want to make those longer as well. So this is maybe something we'll do a little bit more frequently. Drop a little bonus episode so we can talk about something in detail, not feel so rushed, and still also not have our main episodes be so long.
Right. Yeah. It's something, plus it's a review, and we like to do those sometimes a little separate as well. So I am, like I said, super pumped.
Yeah,
excited.
Me too. So we were very excited to experience what we were talking about today. That's because just this last weekend, just 3 days after it actually opened, actually 2 days, because it opened on Thursday. We went on Saturday. We went to the brand new reimagined Garden View Lounge at the Grand Floridian for its tea experience. It's a space that we have always loved, and we were excited that it was opened again as a tea room and to get the chance to sample some of that for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we loved what they had before, and we were anxious to see what's changed. What did they have, and how did we think that all turned out?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get to it. Michelle, why don't you lead us through a little bit here?
All right. So I thought we'd kind of go in order of things. And I thought, first of all, let's talk about our first impressions of the space. And we have some pictures here to share with you if you're watching this. And the first is the windows. This is actually from the inside looking out towards the lobby. But as you can see, it's very light and airy. Each of the glass centerpieces there have a depiction of birds and trees, so it really kind of is tying in that theme of Garden View Lounge. You might also be able to notice there that there's some beautiful vases with gorgeous flowers in there, real flowers in there. Really a nice intro to that space.
Yeah.
And
for whatever reason, the picture that we're seeing here on YouTube, it looks a little blue. I don't feel like it felt blue when we were there, but it's warmer than this picture is. I think it was just the lighting when we were in the room or whatever. But
yeah. And actually, the picture itself, when I was transferring it here, looked better. So I'm not sure what happened today, but anyways,
it's not frosty in there. It looks warmer than what the picture is showing.
Yeah. Exactly. And then we also have the windows towards the outdoor area that have always been there. And again, gives this grand openness and airy feel to it. Like I said, all these features from when you first walk in, to me, make it fitting to the name Garden View Lounge.
Yeah, I agree. And that mostly hasn't changed. I think it's a fresh paint job on it, and there's a new carpeting in there, I believe. And, and some other things. I think the room is very similar to what we knew it as before. They've changed some seating around. I think we'll probably get into that. But mostly it was that same experience, at least walking into that room, that we enjoyed many years ago before it closed, before the pandemic.
Right, exactly. You brought up furniture, and while we have this slide up, let's talk about that. Before, I don't know if you remember, sweetie, but they had like darker colored tables. The midsection had couches, like really sit down billowy couches, and as you can see from here, they still have some couches, but they're more turned inward facing each other, and it's more modern looking, very more sleek. I loved it. What about you?
I did. I thought it was very warm. I thought it fit the theming very, very well. I thought there was a variety of different types of seating depending on, if there's tables for two, like we sat, lots of four tops, lots of tables for four, tables for bigger groups. There's booths there that seemed really nice as well. We saw some small families and even some couples taking advantage or being seated in those booths, and seemed they were great. Spots next to the window, again, looking out at that wonderful Grand Floridian courtyard in the pool area, and a bright summery, spring day, I should say, a bright spring day where it was just beautiful out. Really couldn't have been better.
Yeah, totally. So just in terms of the aesthetic, I think it was a hit there.
It felt very much. It was a much more updated version of what we had experienced and fallen in love with in the years past. That's for sure. Yeah,
exactly. Now they did also change the tableware settings that they have, and you can kind of see it in this picture as well.
By the way, that's more the color of what those booths look like. The windows are just above that. I don't know where the blue came from there, but that's more what it looks like there for those of you watching on YouTube.
Exactly. So they've changed it to tableware that has kind of that garden theme as well into it, some floral looks to it. They've replaced my favorite styling, which was the Royal Dalton, but it's okay. We have it at home. I thought,
for those of you who love your tea china and know what she's talking about, it's a type of tea. For those of you who don't know, it's a type of china that is specifically for tea sets. Yeah.
Exactly. So this one, the tableware, like I said, the pictures on the whether you're talking the cups or the plates and and saucers and things like that, it does all have flower themes to it. So I thought this time they really brought that theming into all of the things that you're first seeing when you walk in.
Basically embracing, because it is now kind of been rethemed into Alice in Wonderland theme. Basically embracing the golden afternoon,
right,
and the flowers singing and everything. It's perfectly well done.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the process. And the first thing that surprised me once we sat down and we were greeted by our server is she asked if we were interested in doing the add-ons.
Right off the bat.
Didn't
even hesitate.
I know. And if you're, familiar with the tea service, it does have, like and we're going to talk about that food that you would typically see in a tea service. The add-ons that they have offered there are, you could get a cheese platter, and the other thing you could get would be caviar.
Along with a variety of cocktails,
right,
alcoholic and non-alcoholic, or mimosa or champagne,
right,
or sparkling wine.
So at first, this kind of really threw me off. Like, why is she trying to, make that distinction before we even have the tea service? But I understood it after it came and as things progress. What did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it made sense. I mean, really, the menu is what the menu is. You're kind of outside of some food allergies or food preferences. The menu, you're going to get what the menu is, and that's it. So it really, that's the only thing she's ordering. Between the tea itself and these add-ons are the only things you're actually ordering from the server. So kind of that's her job, to get that out there right up at the beginning, and that totally makes sense.
Right. Well, and then when we got the tea, and it wasn't called a platter, it's seasonal cheese selection. And when we got that, and we noticed it's not like slices of cheese or what you would normally think.
Not your typical charcuterie board that you'll find around the Walt Disney World Resort.
Right. Sure. So again, this started making me realize, okay, this makes sense to have this course first if you're going to have it, rather than having it after all of the other things. It made a lot more sense. I don't know if they're going to keep it that way, but it did make sense. Now,
we're going to tell you another reason why it made sense as we move on through this thing as well. Yes.
True. But as you can see here, instead of having cheeses that you would just take, it's the chef really created these dishes made from different cheeses. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, it was spectacular. It was very, very, I don't know what you call it, delicate, beautiful use of cheese. And it was, although smaller than I expected for a cheese platter. And it's hard to tell in looking at a picture how it is. We only got one. We decided to get one to share, and super happy that's all we did.
Yeah. So going through these cheeses, I mean, one of the things I loved the Stilton cheesecake, which is if you're looking at it on YouTube, the very right side of it, it's just a little tiny cheesecake. We split it in half. Actually, I think we split it in half before we took that photo. But it was such a unique take on a cheesecake, not sweet. It was more of a Stilton, which I love the richness from a Stilton,
sharpness,
the little salt that comes with it. And it was really beautiful. There's a dollop of the truffle cheese that's there. You can see a little flour on it as well. That was really good. They were all excellent, but in different ways. You also got some crostinis, which you can barely see in the top corner there, which we actually didn't use them all up, which is so rare for us with a cheese board that, I mean, maybe you were saying there wasn't enough cheese to use it all up, but it was good to have, for once, enough of a crostini to make sure you get through all the cheese.
True. I mean, I think because these were more, like I said, like a dish made from cheese rather than a cheese slice that you're putting on a crostini. The crostini wasn't as for me or for us. It didn't seem as necessary because you had enough with just getting the flavor of these dishes, like you said. Using that one was a cheesecake, so
you didn't really need it for that. There's another one that's in phyllo dough there. You don't really need it for that,
right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only one is that truffle cheese,
right?
That worked fairly well with those crostinis,
right? So, unexpected that this was going to be a platter like this, but thought it was just really very elevated experience.
Yeah,
with that.
You can decide for yourself. It was what, $21.99, I believe, and as an add-on,
like
it was $21, somewhere around there.
Around 22.
You can decide for yourself if it's worth it to add on to you. We will tell you at the end of this, I think, what our decision was, if we would do that again in the future.
Exactly. All right. So the next thing is you did choose your tea, and they did have quite a large selection of teas that you could choose from, and not necessarily your standard, not like, just Earl Grey or English breakfast or whatever that you would normally may see in most places. And they also had a variety of having some caffeine-free menus. I mean, caffeine-free teas, and it's listed on the menu there. And if you're watching on YouTube, what they did was they would bring this chest that had these glass domes over a sampling of each of those teas, so that you could actually, if you were wondering what kind of aroma or flavor that tea was, you could experience that through the server.
Yeah, I was actually sold on, actually a couple of them I thought about, but I was actually sold on one that I was able to get an aroma from as she was sharing it. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to try that. It was different from what I expected I would try looking at the menu originally.
Right. And I was kind of, deciding between two. And she was even reminding me that you could kind of make your own blend, and they could enhance things. Like, for example, they have an Orangery of Lady Grey, which is what they say is a refreshing twist on Earl Grey, inspired by English orangeries. I hope I said that right. But she was saying, like, she could even put more additional, like, dried fruit in it, etc.
Yeah, she was talking about
bring
some
that
more slices
citrus
to kind of help, even enhance the tea even more.
Right, exactly. So I thought that was really a nice little addition that they had. One in the presentation to help you choose. She seemed knowledgeable about the flavors, the aromas, and could give some advice as well. So I thought that was a really wonderful way that they introduce you to the teas for you to select.
Yeah, no, and again, it gave you it sold me on a tea that I was not expecting to try. So it worked for me, and so hopefully, if you do get this experience, it'll work for you as well. Ask to smell the teas, really, definitely, and they're happy to do that for you.
Exactly. So why don't we talk about what teas did we drink? What did you have?
So what I was sold on was the spicy chai, and I am not a chai person. I don't have chai very, very infrequently. But when I got a whiff of this, the spice that came from it, and when it says spicy, it doesn't mean spicy like, like pepper spice.
Right, yeah.
No, it's spicy, kind of like, think of Christmas spices, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, those kind of spices. It really was fragrant and wonderful, and I was extremely happy with it when I got it. And again, I'm not a chai person, but when I smelled it and then I was able to sample it, and you could change your tea out, by the way.
Yeah.
If you find something in it, when you get it, you don't really like it, you can change it out. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But this was sold on me, and I was happy to have it for the rest of the dining experience.
Yeah, I was glad you tried it. I am a chai person. I was thinking of that one, but I was glad that you were going to try that one and gave me an opportunity to try. I went with the London Strand breakfast, and sometimes I find English breakfast not exactly my favorite. I tend to go with it more of an Earl Grey, but this time it sounded more light or refreshing, but it was a bold flavor. It was a strong tea, and I liked that. So very full bodied, and so I was glad that I ended up with that because it was great, and I wasn't expecting for sure to like it.
And your choice was the tea I was thinking I was going to go with originally.
Right.
I do like an Earl Grey, but the Lady Grey is a little bit light for me. This is a much bolder tea, and when I tasted yours, it was very bold, and I'd be happy to have that as well on if we should return to the Garden View Lounge. But I thought both were excellent selections and excellent teas.
Yeah. I also like that if you did want to go caffeine free, it wasn't just like green teas. They had some variety of caffeine free teas that still had great bold flavors or rich flavors. So
yeah, there was a little something for everybody who enjoys their tea, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about the food, how it looked and tasted.
Let's talk about the
food. Now we ended up ordering, since we could each get one full order, a regular and a plant-based.
Right.
Now,
just to be able to tell you about what the plant-based is like. And sometimes Michelle does like to go with a plant-based menu, but we wanted to get that experience so we could share it as well.
Right. One of the things that surprised me a little bit was on the website, it does give the menu, or I'm sure too, if you go on the app, it does give you the menu and includes the menu for the plant-based. But when we sat, the menus that we received did not have the plant-based menu, but I did ask her about it, and she's like, oh yeah, it's a great menu. And then somebody brought me a separate menu for the plant-based.
Yeah, and the same goes with any allergy specific menus. I mean, you can find those on the app, but you won't find them there when you're sitting at the table. But they will ask you, just as they do at virtually every Disney dining establishment, if you do have allergies, and and so they can make sure that you're getting exactly what you need.
Exactly. And she made sure when we were talking that my choice for the plant-based was because of my choice and not like a dietary need, to make sure she wasn't also, when I decided to consider trying something else, she was like the cheese platter or selection. I think she would have swayed me if I said that was a dietary need.
And also because they gave you the choice of serving both the plant-based and the standard on the same tower, or you could have had separate towers. And sometimes, there could be some cross-contamination if there's some sort of allergy involved with putting it on the same tower. So that's another reason to ask about any allergy specific or sensitivities involved with that. And we're like, no, it's no problem. Put it on we're going to be sampling. Both of us are going to be sampling it anyways. Put it on the same tower.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's take a look. They start with the scone. I guess you call it scone course or whatever, which is you see in traditional teas here. They have an orange cranberry scone with accompaniments, and that's whether you're getting the plant-based or regular. They are offering orange cranberry scones. And the accompaniments they have is the Devonshire cream. They had, I think it was like a mango marmalade jam that they had there, and then butter.
It's a very sweet cream butter, which was also delicious. I mean, we're all about the Devonshire cream here. But that butter, was pretty darn good with the scone. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. So, I'll say first, I thought both scones had really nice flavor. The plant-based, I think, was just a little more fragile.
It was a little more crumbly. It felt almost a little bit more like a shortbread cookie, like a really refined shortbread cookie to me. But it was delicious as well.
Right, exactly. Just a little bit drier to the mouth. And your thoughts on both of them?
I love them both. I thought they were phenomenal scones. The cranberry, the orange, the citrus comes through. It works. They're light. They're exactly what you want in a scone. They're great. I could have taken home a dozen of those and enjoyed them over the next couple of days. They were fantastic, and we were blessed to be able to try one of each. You know, so that was great.
Exactly.
All right. Matter of fact, we each got one full one. Of each.
She was generous.
Maybe that leads to where we're going here.
Yes, that's true. I mean, part of that was she had brought out a scone for each of us of the regular, and then realized, oh wait, I had asked for the plant-based. So then when she came back with the plant-based, she gave that to both of us as well. So actually very glad that she did that though, because they were, like you said, they were great and they went well with the tea. I loved it.
They were great. I could have just had tea in the scones. Would give me a couple of those, some tea, I would have been really, really happy.
Agreed. All right. So then kind of like, I guess the main course comes out, and that, as we mentioned, you get that in the 3 tiers that you would typically see in a lot of afternoon teas that have that. So we're going to go through each of the layers, and we'll start with the bottom layer. And that's more savory bites there. Now, I have to say, and we're going to talk about this, I felt as that putting them together like that gave us an opportunity to really taste the different ones. But a lot of the things that they had on this, they were really trying to have the flavor profiles to be somewhat similar, whether it was plant-based or regular. And I thought they just did an amazing job with that. So for the regular menu, they have a Footman's Feast.
Again, all themed to Alice in Wonderland. Everything is themed to Alice in Wonderland.
Right, for the food, a Wonderland salmon crisp and curried chicken salad playing card tart.
Right. So that is the regular one.
Right. And so in this picture, they're the ones that would be furthest away.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then for the plant-based, they had a Whimsy artichoke crisp and a Queen's curried chickpea tart. So again, having kind of the same profiles of seasoning and being able to taste both, I thought they were all great.
They were both great. I went with I thought the regular one was a little bit better, just a little bit. But there was nothing wrong with the plant-based one. I would happily eat the plant-based one. It'd be fine. I think our one sticking point on this was for the crisps, whether the artichoke or the salmon, that the breading on there, it was just a little, the texture wise and a little bit how large it was not the best, but the actual toppings of it were very flavorful and wonderful. They could improve that crisp that it's on, and maybe it was a one-off on this day.
Could be.
But I thought that was the only thing that drew back from it. Otherwise, both of those were great.
Right. Yeah, I actually think as a crisp, they could have it something thinner and
a lighter, just a piece of toast.
Right.
Toast, it could be a very flavorful piece of toast, but it was just a little too, I think they tried a little bit too hard with what they made that out of. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So then we move up to the middle layer, and that's your typical like sandwiches. And they both had a caterpillar cucumber roll. Just the plant-based version had a plant-based cream cheese that they use for that. And those are the ones on the left side of the picture that are kind of purplish or lavender color. And then the regular had a Twiddledee egg salad sandwich, and the plant-based had a delicious garden witch sandwich. So you want to go first on your impressions?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were great. I mean, I've had a bit better egg salad sandwich than I've had with this. Maybe a little too much bread, but it was tasty. It was delicious. I enjoyed it very much. As far as the caterpillar cucumber roll. I thought that was very refreshing and light and beautiful. The cream cheese went with it extremely well. I was very happy with that. Maybe a little more cream cheese than it was necessary, but I think they were trying to pull off a look more than anything else. But it was still wonderful, and I'd be happy to have that again.
Right. I think because of that amount of cream cheese, this one I tended to like the plant-based version better because the plant-based cream cheese was a lighter flavor. So it just seemed like it paired well. I'll agree with you 100% about the ratio of the bread to the filling, really in both of these, but especially like whether you're talking about the egg salad or the garden witch. I felt like a little bit way too much bread. I know it for the appearance as well. It is definitely better, but I just felt like it drove from the flavor of the filling too much.
Yeah, I think we're used to a lot with when we do afternoon teas with it being more of a finger sandwich type thing. And this was a bit bulkier and larger. And again, I think they're trying to also accomplish getting the feel of the Alice in Wonderland theming throughout some of these dishes. So maybe they're adjusting them and how much bread they have to accomplish that look more than necessarily be for the food. And so that, is maybe something they want to look at in the future. But overall, the flavor was good. I just, the bread, they could be peeled back a little bit. Yeah.
Right. All right. And then we get to the top layer, the pièce de résistance. A lot of sweets there. Again, they tried, you'll see in the front, there's two things that look the same because they are. It's called Painting the Roses Red. The regular menu had a tea party tart, a matcha Mad Hatter, and a flamingo croquet choux. And then for the plant-based, they had a Cheshire Cat checkerboard cake, Queen of Hearts raspberry tart, and an unbirthday petit four. And again, you want to go first this time?
Sure. I thought these were all great. They were on the sweet side, but you kind of want that when you're having a tea because the tea will kind of curb that sweetness that you're having with this. So if you're just eating them alone, they may tend to be a little cloying on you because of the sweetness. But when you have a bite of something and then the tea and then a bite of something else and then the tea, it works together. There were several things that I really, really enjoyed. It's kind of hidden in the photo, but you can't really see it. But it is the tea party tart, which is coffee focused. Really the coffee flavor does come through in that. I thought it was delicious. The matcha Mad Hatter, it looks spectacular and fitting for this theme. That's great. And so was the flamingo croquet choux. I thought those were I think those may have been the three best dishes out of this all. What about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I'll say my favorite thing that I tasted on this, and it was like the smallest one, and it was with the plant-based one, and that was the checkerboard cake. It was small, but it had a lot of nice flavor. It wasn't overly sweet. I loved it. I love the Queen of Hearts tart as well. I thought that was good, and then, like I said, like you mentioned, I love the flamingo croquet choux. I thought it had a nice, bright, fresh, citrusy filling inside there. It was just full of flavor.
Yeah. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. At this point, we got about halfway through this. And because we'd had the cheese and the extra scone and everything else, we were very, very full. We did not finish this. Okay. And as many as these look like little small things, we got to this point and we're like, yes, we're going to need a box to take some of these home. And then we ended up enjoying them that evening at night after everything had settled. We had come back home. We enjoyed them, but they still were fantastic and wonderful. And they were really tasty treats.
Yeah, I think we ate about half of them there and half of them at home. But we were not the only ones asking for to-go boxes. It was pretty common that people were requesting those things.
Yeah. So if you're wondering about whether or not you're going to get enough food at one of these, I'll tell you right now. Maybe you're a big eater, maybe so, but I think it's this is a very filling afternoon meal. You do not need to eat lunch before you do this. This will be plenty for you.
Exactly. All right. So let's now just kind of talk about some of the other general things. First of all, service. Overall, I thought the service was really great. They came by often, offered more tea. I made the mistake of pouring that last bit of tea that was in the pot very quickly. I was, I guess, focused on something else, and all the tea leaves came out.
It is loose tea. It's not tea
Right.
bags.
Right. And there is no strainer, but they do let it steep before they bring it out to you. And I was just, like I said, if you pour in a nice way, not like then you're not going to have that issue occur most likely.
But if you do, and they know, they're like, oh yeah, this happens.
Right.
We'll get you a new cup and a new pot if you need it.
Yeah.
Really, they'll rush out and do that.
Right.
For
And
you.
that's what they handled for me. There was no question about that. And, I think it was nice that they were saying, oh, this happens, to try to make it like, oh, you're not just a dummy. But what did you think of the service overall?
Yeah, no, I thought that the service treated you very, very well. They know it's kind of an elegant experience, and they want to treat it as such, and they do. They treat you very, really well. They're very attentive, and that's your server and many of the other servers that are in the room too. Paying attention, clearing plates, making sure you have enough tea, because you will go through. It's a fairly small pot of tea. You will probably go through it and want some more, and they'll ask you if you want some more, and they'll go get that for you happily. Or any other issues that you had, such as getting the leaves into there. They are very, very attentive, and I was really, really happy about that, especially since, again, it's not a cheap experience.
Right.
And so you want to be treated at that extra level, and they do there.
Exactly. Now I have to at least acknowledge the fact that they did share with us that it was sort of a soft opening. So they were not at capacity. They were not filling all the tables for the entire experience, but still you could tell that the service was not going to suffer even once they were at capacity.
Yeah, I think they just want to get used to the flow of getting these out for the guests, and then they'll gradually start adding more tables as they go. We saw them fill many more tables while we were there. We were there very early on, not long after they first opened. So we did see them getting more and more tables as we went, and I don't think the service suffered at all.
Right. All right. The next thing I thought would be good is to just talk about our impressions of value. Honey, what did your overall thoughts about the values that guests get in this lounge?
Well, I'm gonna always say this: value is what you make of it. What is valuable to me may not be valuable to you, and vice versa. So it is what you think. To me, this is an exquisite, elevated type of deal. So yes, is it expensive? It is. It's expensive, but at least the service and the quality of food and the tea and just the overall ambiance of it all, I feel fills that bill. I would say that I would be happy to go back there, and even at that price, do it again. And that's not true of everything we've experienced at a higher price, but this, I think, is something that we would be happy to do again. I don't know about your judgment, Michelle, but that was my feeling on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when the little bit of sticker shock when we first saw what the prices were going to be. But again, once I started seeing the food, the menu, the way it was presented and everything, it is, like you said, a much more elevated experience. It's not overly stuffy or anything like that, but it's definitely food that you wouldn't typically see at a traditional country afternoon tea. I mean, it has the layers, the service and things like that are very much that type traditional, but not the menu items. So I agree with you. I thought the value was there for this. I would do it again. I think it's something that's more of I don't want to say always like a celebration, but it wouldn't be just, oh, I'm at the parks, let's see if we could plan tea at that. This would be something that, I would think is a little bit more elevated of a dining experience.
Right. It's something you want to plot out. It's like, oh, we haven't done that in a while. This seems like a nice way to either celebrate something or, it's a day where we just want to relax and enjoy this elevated, special little lunch type meal. And they even tell you right off the bat that this is not going to be a rushed experience. It's going to take about an hour and a half. And you think of all these little tiny foods and tea and everything, that could be something that could be done really, really quickly. But they're like, no, we're going to take your time. They're not rushing you anywhere. They're not trying to get you out of there. If you want more tea, you can get more tea. They're happy to have you sit and enjoy your time there within this room. And so that makes for even, a more elegant experience for sure.
Right, exactly. Definitely not your quick service.
No.
Yeah, and I think that probably that's also why you can feel full from it, because it's not, if you received all that on a plate, it's a lot of food, but it's not a ton of food. But I think having it go in a slower pace, you're drinking tea in between and everything, it will make you feel full. But I think that's the good thing, that you come out feeling definitely satisfied that you had enough to eat.
What I would say we would not do again is as much as we enjoyed it very much, the cheese add-on. I don't think, maybe we would do it again, but I don't think we would be looking to do that every time we go. I think that the amount of food that you get with the tea and everything else, I feel was enough. Maybe we would add on a glass of sparkling wine or something at some point. The caviar is ridiculous. As much as Michelle loves caviar, it's like 100 something. It's like 120 bucks. 150. It's 150. We're not adding that on. Sorry, honey. Maybe if you're good, we'll see. But probably not. But I feel like it just the experience itself is enough food, and the tea is wonderful, and that is probably enough to have an enjoyable meal for sure.
Right, exactly. Nothing, no shade on it or anything like that. I loved it. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we tried it. But like you said, it's not necessary each time. So if somebody hasn't experienced it, might be something you might want to consider, because again, it is a much more elevated experience for a cheese selection than what you would get anywhere else.
No, it was great. Don't get me wrong. In other circumstances, I'd be happy to get a tray of cheese like that, because everything I talk about elevated, all those cheeses were elevated and phenomenal. But just with all the other little bites we were getting, it was just an add-on that wasn't necessary. That's the only reason why I would say it wasn't of value. I think the price actually for the excellent cheeses you got is not bad, concerning what the price is for many charcuterie boards around the Disney resorts.
Exactly. So, all right. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts are: we will be returning. We will be coming back. We enjoyed it. It's one. We have some nostalgia there. It's a space that. We loved. I think one of my first visits to Walt Disney World with you took me to it. And even though I wasn't a tea aficionado, I really, really enjoyed it. We returned many times. And I believe that you had so many wonderful memories with your family, specifically your mom there.
Exactly.
So I'm curious on you. How do you feel about it because of that fact? Because it is something that is so near and dear to your heart.
Right. So I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. In terms of yes, it is a special place, has a lot of special memories. It is a different experience, which in some ways I think is better, because what experiences I had, for example, with my mother, I'm not feeling like I'm doing this without her. I feel like this is a different experience. I would love to do it with her, but at least I have very fond memories of the way they had it before. When first hearing about the tea and seeing what Disney was putting out in terms of the menu and the look of it, I thought it was going to be really that strong Alice in Wonderland theming. And as much as I love that, I know that's not for everybody. And so what I saw was it was much more subtle and charming. And so it was the look, like if you did have kids there, they could appreciate the colorfulness of it and everything, but it wasn't necessarily, again, an in-your-face Alice in Wonderland. So I think that was very beneficial, because then you can feel like this is a special experience. It isn't just a kiddie show. You're not just like, okay, I'm at Disney World. Let me find something else for my kids to do. This is something for adulting. Yes, you can take your kids and they have a different menu and they're going to love it.
Treat them really, really well.
And treat really well, and you'll enjoy it with them. But if you want to feel also like you're going to something special and it's not necessarily all kid designed, this is a great place. So you can feel like it is something, as I said, special. I would call it comfortably classy vibes. It wasn't stuffy. It wasn't, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to feel uncomfortable or awkward because I'm not used to such elegance, that it wasn't that. It was much more, like I said, charming and comfortable feel to it, much more welcoming, and that just more refined than before. So I thought that really played to this as an advantage, to have the theming, but not be so strong of a theming. I didn't feel like Alice in Wonderland was all around me, or that I would expect those characters or anything. It's nothing like that. It's just a really nice, elevated experience.
Yeah. So. I'll also say that, having been gone before to the original version of this, that version of it was a better version. I'm not going to say that this quite lives up to that, but it's close enough. It's close enough to it that we're pretty darn happy with it. I mean, the old version of the Garden View Lounge was incredible to us. This is really, really good. And again, up to snuff, and something that we will be returning to. Maybe not every trip out, but fairly frequently.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that it would be as frequent as the prior way, but it does have a nice special feeling in a different way. Now, the one thing I also noticed, and even as our preparation for going, is I didn't feel like it was going to be you're in shorts and a tank top coming from the park and going here.
You certainly can, but you might not feel completely comfortable doing that.
Right.
There.
I mean, they do have, I'll read you what their statement is. It says, this lounge is an experience offering fine dining with a distinctly magical flair. Guests are expected to dress accordingly in attire that respects the restaurant's sophisticated and upscale aesthetic. Clothing should be clean, neat, and in good condition. Please, no swimwear. So, I mean, we know that they will have some leeway. I do think, though, when you go to experience it, I think feeling like you're a little more, I'm not saying dressed up. You don't have to be. I think, casual is definitely fine. But like I said, not like cut off shorts and a tank top. You might feel like you're missing out. And I think, again, when you look at Disney adulting, a lot of the things that they have, like, take, for example, Jollywood Nights. I think some of the appeal that people go to that for is the ability to dress up and go into the park and doing something different in that regards. And here, I'm not saying you feel necessary to dress up, but maybe be a little bit more upscale than just going to the parks.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a lot, a little bit of, collared shirt. You can still wear shorts. We saw people in there wearing shorts, but they were nice shorts, like you mentioned, not cut off shorts. It's Florida. I mean, you're going to be wearing shorts, and it's just kind of what you'll have to do. It could, just add a little something extra to make it be a little bit nicer. Yeah. That's what I'd recommend, just so you don't feel super uncomfortable. They're probably not turning you away,
right?
But at the same point, you'll just feel more comfortable if you're in this experience,
right?
Just dressed a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody dressed up like anybody. Dressed.
There were like some
sundresses.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, sundresses. Yeah,
things like that.
And that was me. I was in my sundress.
Definitely. So, anyways. I think we covered everything, unless you can think of anything else.
No, that was it. That's it. It was a great experience. We'd love to know if you have the chance to experience it, what your thoughts are on it as well. Please share them with us. And if you have any questions about it, we'd be happy to answer them as well. So that's it for this bonus episode, our review of the Garden View Lounge Tea Experience, the brand new reimagined space within the Grand Floridian Resort. It's weird. I don't know how to wrap this up. Please, thank you for listening to a special bonus episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Remember, you can find us everywhere you get podcasts. Best place to find us on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. Follow us on social media. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel since this will be on YouTube. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here on another episode or a very special bonus episode.